Gentlemen, stop what you are doing right now. Because somewhere in your kitchen, possibly in a bowl on your counter or a jar in your pantry, there is a nut you have been eating for years, believing it was good for you. And according to the research I am about to share with you, it may be quietly accelerating the exact prostate problems that are stealing your sleep, draining your energy, and shrinking your confidence. Stay with me. This one is important. I'm Dr. Emmy Takeda, a urologist with over 30 years of experience helping men like you regain their energy, performance, and vitality. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Before we go any further, if you're serious about protecting your prostate, staying strong, and living without fear, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I share real information backed by real science for men just like you. And if this topic matters to you, type 1 in the comments and tell me where in the world you're watching from. If not, type 0 so I know how to help you better next time. Now let's get into it. Let me tell you about a man I will call Raymond. Raymond was 67 years old, a retired high school principal, disciplined, health conscious, the kind of man who read food labels and took his daily walk seriously. He came into my office with a worn-out look I have seen thousands of times in my 3 decades of practice. He said, "Dr. Takeda, I am doing everything right. I eat clean. I exercise. I do not drink much. So why do I wake up 3 times a night to use the bathroom? Why does the flow barely come? Why do I feel like my body is betraying me?" I asked him one question. I said, "Raymond, walk me through what you snack on during the day." He thought about it and said, "Mostly nuts. Peanuts, sunflower seeds, sometimes cashews, maybe some coconut granola in the morning." And right there, in that answer, was a significant part of his problem. Here is what most men over 60 are never told. The foods marketed as heart-healthy, high-protein, and natural are not always evaluated for their specific effect on the aging male prostate. The prostate is a remarkably sensitive organ. It responds to hormones, to inflammation, to fat composition, to oxidative stress, and certain nuts and seeds, ones that get glowing reviews in general nutrition circles, create conditions inside the prostate that accelerate growth, worsen urinary symptoms, and over time increase the risk of serious disease. But here is the other side of that truth, and this is the part I want you to hold on to as we go through this together. There are also nuts and seeds, equally accessible, equally affordable, sitting in the same grocery store aisle, that do the opposite. They calm the inflammation. They support healthy hormone balance. They protect the prostate tissue and can genuinely improve how you feel in the bathroom and how you feel when you wake up in the morning. So today, we are going to go through all 8. 4 that are quietly working against you, and 4 that could become your most powerful daily allies. For each one, I am going to give you the science in plain language, a real clinical story from my practice, and a clear, simple action you can take starting today. No confusion, no overwhelm, just the truth and a plan. Before we dive into the first destroyer, I want you to understand one biological concept that will make everything else in this video click. It is called DHT, dihydrotestosterone. Here is how it works. Your body naturally converts some of its testosterone into DHT through an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. DHT is significantly more potent than regular testosterone when it comes to stimulating prostate cells, and in excess, it tells prostate cells to grow and multiply faster than they should. The prostate enlarges, the urethra gets compressed, and suddenly you are standing at the toilet at 2 a.m. wondering why nothing is happening. Several foods we are going to discuss today either accelerate that conversion or help slow it down. Keep that in mind as we go through each one. All right, let us start with the 4 prostate destroyers. And I promise you, by the end of this section, you will never look at your snack bowl the same way again. Number 1, the wolf in sheep's clothing. Peanuts. I know what you are thinking. Peanuts are protein. Peanuts are cheap. Peanuts are everywhere. And for most of your life, nobody told you they were a problem. So let me be specific about why they become a problem specifically for the prostate of a man over 60. First, peanuts carry a real risk of contamination from a toxic compound called aflatoxin. This is a byproduct of mold that develops on peanuts during storage, and it is far more common in bulk bins, discount brands, and products that sit on shelves for extended periods. Aflatoxin places measurable stress on the liver. And here is why that matters for your prostate. Your liver is responsible for clearing excess estrogen from your bloodstream. When the liver is under stress, that clearance slows. Estrogen levels creep up, and elevated estrogen in men over 60 creates a hormonal environment that actively encourages prostate enlargement and can increase the vulnerability of prostate tissue to abnormal cell changes. Second, peanuts are disproportionately high in omega-6 fatty acids. Omega-6 is not inherently bad, but in the quantities found in a typical daily peanut habit and against the backdrop of the already omega-6 heavy modern diet, it tips the body into a state of chronic low-grade inflammation. That inflammation does not stay in one place. It circulates. It irritates prostate tissue. It makes existing urinary symptoms worse and creates conditions where the prostate continues to grow. Third, and this is the one most men never consider, the processed forms of peanuts carry additional burdens. Commercial peanut butters often contain partially hydrogenated oils, which are a source of trans fats that spike systemic inflammation. Salted peanuts add a sodium load that research has directly linked to worsening lower urinary tract symptoms, increased urgency, and more frequent nighttime urination. Raymond, the man I told you about at the beginning, had 2 large spoonfuls of commercial peanut butter every evening. We replaced it with almond butter, added an omega-3 supplement to rebalance his fatty acid ratio, and within 6 weeks, he was sleeping through most nights. His liver enzymes, which had been mildly elevated, normalized. His energy came back. And his confidence, the thing he had quietly been mourning, started to return. If you still enjoy peanuts, choose organic Valencia varieties, which carry significantly lower aflatoxin risk. Eat them occasionally rather than daily. Skip anything with added hydrogenated oils or high sodium. And always balance them with omega-3 rich foods like salmon or ground flaxseed. But if you are already dealing with urinary symptoms or prostate concerns, the honest recommendation is to take a real break from peanuts and see what changes. Number 2. The salty snack that is quietly inflaming your prostate. Sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds are everywhere in men's snack culture. They are in trail mixes and gym bags. They are sprinkled on salads. They are the things you mindlessly eat while watching the game. And for decades, they have been sold to you as a clean, natural, heart-healthy choice. For most general health purposes, that reputation is partly deserved. But for the aging prostate, sunflower seeds present a specific and underappreciated problem. The core issue is the same as with peanuts, but more concentrated. Sunflower seeds are extraordinarily high in linoleic acid, a type of omega-6 fatty acid. When your body processes large quantities of linoleic acid without adequate omega-3 to balance it, it generates inflammatory compounds that circulate systemically. For the prostate, this means ongoing tissue irritation, increased sensitivity in the bladder and urethra, and an environment where prostate cells are more likely to multiply and where symptoms like urgency, weak flow, and nocturia are more likely to worsen over time. Add to that the sodium content of most packaged sunflower seeds and the problem compounds. High sodium is directly and consistently linked in clinical research to more severe lower urinary tract symptoms. The urinary tract becomes more reactive. The bladder becomes more irritable. And a man who is already waking twice a night may find himself waking 3 or 4 times instead. I had a patient, a 58-year-old man who worked as a mechanic, who came to me frustrated by a urine stream that was weak and constantly interrupted. When I asked about his daily habits, he told me he kept a bag of salted sunflower seeds in his truck and went through most of it during a work day. We swapped that habit for a small container of unsalted pumpkin seeds. Within 3 weeks, he came back noticeably relieved. His flow was stronger and more consistent, and his blood pressure had dropped slightly, which meant less pressure throughout his urinary system. The lesson here is not that all seeds are bad. It is that the specific fatty acid profile and sodium burden of sunflower seeds make them a poor daily choice for men dealing with prostate and urinary issues. If you want a crunchy snack that actually supports your prostate rather than irritating it, keep reading. The healer section is coming, and pumpkin seeds are first on that list. Number 3, the one that surprises almost everyone. Coconut. Coconut has had a remarkable marketing decade. Coconut oil in your coffee. Coconut chips as a snack. Coconut milk in your smoothie. It has been positioned as a superfood, a natural fat source, and a clean energy fuel. And I understand the appeal. The science of coconut for the prostate, however, tells a significantly different story. The central problem with coconut is its overwhelming saturated fat content. Large-scale epidemiological studies, including the long-running Physicians' Health Study, have found consistent associations between high saturated fat intake and increased risk of both benign prostatic hyperplasia, which is the enlarged prostate affecting most men over 60, and aggressive prostate cancer. Here is the mechanism. Saturated fats activate an inflammatory pathway in the body called NF-kappa B. When this pathway stays switched on, it creates a pro-inflammatory environment throughout the body, including in the prostate. At the same time, this ongoing inflammation increases the activity of 5-alpha reductase, that enzyme I explained earlier, the one that converts testosterone into DHT. More DHT means more growth signal reaching the prostate. More growth signal means a larger gland, more compression of the urethra, and more severe urinary symptoms. I treated a 65-year-old man who had built an entire wellness routine around coconut. Coconut oil in his morning coffee, coconut chips as his afternoon snack, coconut milk in his evening smoothie. He came to me because his PSA levels had been steadily rising and his urinary symptoms were among the most severe I had seen in someone his age who was otherwise relatively fit and active. We made one focus change. We replaced his coconut oil with extra virgin olive oil in cooking and removed the coconut chips entirely, replacing them with almonds. Within 4 weeks, his PSA stabilized. His urinary hesitancy improved. He described the change as dramatic. If you love coconut, treat it as an occasional pleasure rather than a daily staple. For everyday cooking and fat intake, lean toward extra virgin olive oil and avocado oil, both of which support hormone balance and actively reduce inflammation rather than feeding it. Number 4, the snack you probably eat without thinking. Cashews. Cashews are the quiet ones. They do not have the controversy of peanuts or the saturated fat reputation of coconut. They are creamy, satisfying, and remarkably easy to overeat. And that ease of overconsumption is precisely where their risk to the prostate begins. Cashews contain moderate levels of palmitic acid and other saturated fatty acids that, like coconut, can activate NF-kappa B inflammatory pathways and increase 5-alpha reductase activity. The DHT conversion pathway gets a nudge. Prostate tissue gets a growth signal. And because cashews are so calorie-dense and so easy to eat in volume, men often consume far more than they intend to. That calorie density creates a secondary problem. Extra calories lead to weight gain, particularly around the abdomen. And abdominal weight gain is not simply a cosmetic concern for men over 60. Visceral fat, the fat stored around the organs in the midsection, is metabolically active. It produces inflammatory compounds and alters the hormonal environment in ways that directly worsen prostate enlargement and urinary symptoms. It is a compounding effect that most men never connect to their evening handful of cashews. I remember a patient in his late 50s who was genuinely confused about why his urinary symptoms were not responding to any of the changes he had made. He had cleaned up his diet in many ways. But he used a rich cashew-based dressing on his large daily salad, and he grazed on cashews throughout the afternoon. We simply replaced that dressing with a lighter lemon and olive oil vinaigrette and swapped his cashews snacking for pumpkin seeds and almonds. He lost 8 pounds in 6 weeks without trying to lose weight. More significantly, his urinary urgency and frequency dropped noticeably. The hidden inflammatory load had been quietly holding his prostate hostage. If you enjoy cashews, that is fine. Keep them as an occasional guest in your diet rather than a daily resident. Small portions, 2 to 3 times per week, dry roasted and unsalted. And never straight from a large open bag in front of the television. Now, I want to pause here for a moment. We are right at the turning point of this conversation, the place where we move from what is working against you to what could genuinely transform your prostate health from the inside out. And if you have made it this far, if this information has been eye-opening or valuable to you in any way, I want to ask you something. Please subscribe to this channel right now if you have not already. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I release new content every single week, specifically for men over 60, content that is grounded in real clinical experience and real science, not trends, not marketing, not guesswork. There are thousands of men in this community making real changes and feeling real results. Join them. Now let us get into the 4 foods that could genuinely begin to heal your prostate starting this week. Number 1 on the healing side, nature's finest gift to the male prostate. Pumpkin seeds. If I could prescribe one single food for prostate health for every man over 60, it would be pumpkin seeds. Not because they are trendy, not because they are exotic, but because the science behind their effect on the aging male prostate is among the most consistent and compelling in nutritional research. Pumpkin seeds are extraordinarily rich in phytosterols, plant compounds that your body uses to gently inhibit 5-alpha reductase, that enzyme that converts testosterone into DHT. By naturally reducing that enzyme's activity, pumpkin seeds help lower the DHT signal reaching your prostate, which means less growth stimulus, less enlargement over time, and measurably improved urinary flow. Beta-sitosterol, the primary phytosterol in pumpkin seeds, has been studied specifically for its effect on benign prostatic hyperplasia, and multiple clinical trials have shown it reduces symptom scores and improves peak urinary flow rate. Beyond the phytosterols, pumpkin seeds deliver a concentrated package of zinc, magnesium, vitamin E, and polyphenol antioxidants. The zinc story is particularly important. The prostate gland stores more zinc than virtually any other organ in the human body, and adequate zinc is essential for maintaining the structure, secretion, and health of prostate tissue. Men over 60 are frequently zinc deficient without knowing it, and that deficiency quietly compromises prostate function over time. 1 to 2 tablespoons of raw or dry roasted unsalted pumpkin seeds daily is all it takes. Store them in an airtight container in the refrigerator to protect their oils. Eat them in the evening. A spoonful paired with a small amount of protein, like a tablespoon of Greek yogurt, can also help stabilize blood sugar overnight, which reduces one of the key triggers for middle-of-the-night bathroom trips. Raymond, the retired principal from the beginning of this video, made pumpkin seeds his evening ritual. Within the first month, he reported sleeping through the night twice in a row for the first time in 2 years. Small change. Significant result. Number 2, the almond, the everyday ally you may be underusing. Almonds have a strong general health reputation, and for prostate health specifically, that reputation is well-earned and well-supported. The reason almonds make this list is their exceptional fatty acid profile. They are high in monounsaturated fats, the same class of fats found in extra virgin olive oil, and low in the saturated and omega-6 fats that drive inflammation in the prostate. This balance supports healthy blood vessel function, reduces systemic inflammation, and creates a hormonal environment that is far less conducive to prostate enlargement. Almonds are also rich in magnesium, which supports nerve and smooth muscle function throughout the pelvis, including the muscles involved in bladder control and urinary flow. They provide vitamin E, a fat-soluble antioxidant that reduces oxidative stress in prostate tissue. And they offer riboflavin, which supports cellular energy metabolism and helps combat the fatigue that so many men over 60 describe as their most disabling symptom. About 20 to 23 almonds daily, roughly 1 ounce, is the sweet spot. Choose raw or dry roasted varieties without added salt, sugar, or flavoring. Pair them with a piece of fruit or a small amount of complex carbohydrate to help stabilize blood sugar and reduce inflammation even further. I had a patient, a diabetic man in his mid-60s, who made almonds his consistent morning snack. Within 2 months, not only had his blood sugar control improved, but he came back to my office telling me that the urinary hesitancy he had dealt with for years, that maddening pause before the stream would begin, had nearly resolved. He was not expecting that result, but it made complete biological sense. Number 3, the one that surprises men every time. Soy. Before you scroll past this one, stay with me, because the myths around soy and testosterone are persistent, widespread, and largely unsupported by the clinical evidence. Let me give you the actual science. Soy contains compounds called isoflavones, specifically genistein and didzine. These are phytoestrogens, plant-based compounds that interact with estrogen receptors in the body. But here's the critical detail that gets lost in most conversations about soy. Isoflavones preferentially bind to a specific type of estrogen receptor in the prostate, called ER-beta, and binding to ER-beta does not stimulate prostate cell growth. It does the opposite. It sends an anti-proliferative signal telling prostate cells to slow their multiplication. In some research, genistein has been shown to promote apoptosis, which is the natural, programmed death of abnormal cells in prostate tissue. Large population studies consistently show that men in cultures with higher traditional whole soy food intake have lower rates of aggressive prostate cancer and fewer severe lower urinary tract symptoms. And multiple controlled trials have found that moderate soy intake does not lower testosterone in men, a concern that continues to circulate without meaningful clinical support. 2 to 4 servings of minimally processed soy foods per week is the target. Steamed edamame as a snack, firm tofu in a stir-fry, tempeh in a salad, unsweetened soy-based yogurt. The key word is minimally processed. Soy protein isolates in powders, and processed foods are not the same thing as whole soy foods and do not carry the same benefits. I had a patient with a strong family history of prostate cancer who was understandably anxious about every PSA test. We incorporated steamed edamame and tofu into his weekly meals. Over 18 months of monitoring, his PSA not only stayed stable, it showed a slight downward trend. He described the peace of mind that came with that data as life-changing. Number 4, the small seed with the outsized prostate benefit, flaxseed. Flaxseed is the richest dietary source of lignans, a class of plant compounds that your body converts into hormone-like molecules with a gentle regulatory effect on estrogen and androgen activity. Like the isoflavones in soy, lignans help modulate the hormonal environment in a way that reduces the growth signals reaching the prostate. They appear to gently inhibit 5-alpha reductase activity, support normal cell cycling, and help maintain the kind of controlled, measured cellular behavior that keeps the prostate healthy over time. Beyond the lignans, flaxseed is packed with both soluble and insoluble fiber, which nourishes the gut microbiome. This matters more than most people realize. A well-functioning gut microbiome plays a measurable role in hormone metabolism, specifically in how estrogen and androgens are processed and cleared from the body. Men with healthier gut microbiomes tend to show better hormonal balance, and in clinical observation tend to have less severe prostate symptoms. Flaxseed also provides ALA, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid, which works alongside the lignans and fiber to create a broad, consistent anti-inflammatory effect throughout the body, including in the prostate. 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed daily is the practical target. Whole seeds pass through the digestive system largely intact and offer significantly less benefit. Grind them fresh at home or buy pre-ground flaxseed and store it in an airtight container in the freezer to keep the oils from oxidizing. Stir it into oatmeal, blend it into a smoothie, or mix it into yogurt. Add it after cooking to preserve the beneficial compounds. A man in his late 50s came to me reluctant to start any medication for his prostate symptoms, which included a weak stream, post-void dribbling, and urgency that was disrupting his work. We agreed to try a food-first approach for 90 days. 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed in his morning oatmeal was part of that plan. By week 4, he told me his stream felt noticeably stronger, and the post-void dribbling had nearly stopped. At his 90-day follow-up, his LDL cholesterol had also improved, which neither of us had specifically targeted. Flaxseed delivers quietly, consistently, and across multiple systems at once. Now let us bring this all together, because good information without a clear path forward is just noise. Here is how to build these 4 healers into your week without complicating your life. 1 to 2 tablespoons of pumpkin seeds in the evening, every day. 1 ounce of raw or dry roasted almonds as a midday snack, every day. 2 to 4 soy-based meals spread across the week. Steamed edamame, tofu, or tempeh prepared simply. 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed stirred into your morning meal, every day. That is the foundation. Rotate and repeat. Give it 30 days before you evaluate. Your body needs time to shift inflammation levels, rebalance hormone activity, and respond to the new nutritional input. Now for the practical details that make the difference between a habit that sticks and one that fades. Store your pumpkin seeds and ground flaxseed in airtight containers in the refrigerator or freezer. Buy almonds in small quantities and keep them fresh. Always check nuts and seeds by smell before eating. A bitter or stale odor means the oils have oxidized and the product will do more harm than good. Choose raw or dry roasted varieties without added oils, sodium, sugar, or flavorings. One important safety note before we close. If you are currently taking blood thinners like warfarin, please speak with your doctor before significantly increasing your flaxseed or soy intake, as both can interact with those medications. And if you have a known tree nut or seed allergy, introduce any new food slowly and pay close attention to your body's response. Here is what to expect as you make this shift, and these timelines are based on what I have observed consistently across my 30 years of practice. In the first 2 weeks, most men notice more stable energy throughout the day, gentler digestion, and the beginning of reduced salt cravings as they move away from the inflammatory snacks. Between weeks 3 and 6, many men report fewer nighttime bathroom trips, a stronger and more consistent urinary stream, and better mornings. Between weeks 8 and 12, waistlines often begin to shrink modestly as the inflammatory load on the body decreases, and both urinary symptoms and overall vitality tend to show measurable improvement. Pair these food changes with a simple evening habit that I recommend to every patient. Stop drinking fluids 2 to 3 hours before bed. Save alcohol for earlier in the day. Move your last caffeine of the day to the morning hours. These 3 adjustments, combined with the dietary changes we discussed, can produce a change in sleep quality and nighttime bathroom frequency that men often describe as transformative. Let me close by coming back to Raymond. The last time I saw Raymond in my clinic, he was a different man from the one who had shuffled in exhausted and defeated. He was sleeping through the night. His flow had returned. He had lost a few pounds without dieting. And he told me something I want you to hear directly. He said, "Dr. Takeda, I thought this was just what getting old meant. I thought I had to accept it." He paused and then he said, "I was wrong. And I am grateful someone finally told me the truth." That is exactly why I make these videos. Because the truth, delivered clearly and without agenda, can change a man's life. And you deserve that truth. You are not too old for this. Your prostate is not beyond reach. Biology is still responsive. The systems are still listening. And with the right nutritional input, consistently applied over time, real change is not just possible, it is probable. Gentlemen, start today. Look in your pantry right now. Identify 1 nut or seed you are going to reduce or eliminate this week. Then pick up one of the 4 healers on your next grocery run. Pumpkin seeds, almonds, edamame, ground flaxseed. 1 small deliberate choice is all it takes to begin. If this video gave you something real today, please share it with 1 man in your life. A brother, a friend, a father, a colleague, because this kind of information should not be hidden in a medical journal or locked behind a clinic appointment. It belongs in the hands of every man who needs it. Drop a comment below and tell me which of the 4 healers you are going to start with. Your answer might be exactly the encouragement another man needs to take his first step. And if you are not yet subscribed, do that right now. I am here every week with honest, science-backed health information for men over 60. No fluff, no sales pitch, just real answers from a doctor who has spent 30 years watching real men get their lives back. Until next time, this is Dr. Emi Takeda reminding you that your body is still listening. Give it what it needs, and it will respond. Stay strong, gentlemen. Your prostate, your sleep, and your vitality are all still within reach.